welcome to One on One. My name is Bridget Otu. My guest is the Executive Director of Global InfoAnalytics. Prior to the NPP primaries, there was a lot of, they did polling, in certain key constituencies, and they turned out to be not rise as in GIA's rise, as in they were able to predict based on the information they gathered from the delegates that they would vote a certain way. For instance, Ewutu Senya, they mentioned that Hawa Kumsin would get over 80%, and she did get over 80% in the primaries. There were places like DANKWA where he said Michael Kwe Jr. was going to lose. So we will review the primaries and post-primaries what's happened. What does that even mean in the general elections 2024? What does that mean for the National Democratic Congress? Does that mean they have a lead in DANKWA because now the candidate is not Adwoa Safo? We'll be back to give you details of this and also go over some of the places that there was a tie, and then, for instance, the Vice President spokesperson, Gideon Boaku, for instance, Dr. Gideon Boaku, for instance, won. We'll be right back. Welcome back to One on One. My name is Bridget Otu. Mr. DANKWA, let me again welcome and thank you very much for honoring us. And apologies to you. You don't know this, but we had recorded an episode, prior to the primaries. Unfortunately, we couldn't show because we had a technical hitch. But I'm glad to have you back. Always great to have you in our studio. So, and I'm glad you honored our invitation again.
Thank you.
Right. I just want to get a quick overview of what you saw in terms of how the delegates voted in DANKWA, and I'm going to start there because the interest was that it had peaked. Everybody wanted to know, is Adwoa Safo losing? Will she lose? Will she? And I remember in the data you mentioned she could be third in that. In the data, the earlier data you conducted, Michael Kwe Jr. was in the lead, and Sheila was second, and then Adwoa Safo was third. But we had undecided voters and undisclosed voters who I believe eventually voted for Adwoa Safo, and that's why she came second. So I want us to speak to that, in that, on the 1,194 that Michael Kwe Jr. got.
It was a very emphatic win. And the gap between Adwoa Safo and Michael Kwe in the poll was about 34%.
And it showed, yeah.
It's a huge margin.
Yeah.
And where Adwoa was coming from, she was really coming from a position of weakness in the constituency. They appear to have enough of her, and they quite appreciate what she's done, but they didn't want her to continue as MP. So the polls were very clear that she was going to lose. Yeah,
and I will go in the poll by Global InfoAnalytics. This is the poll that they have published, and if you're online, if you follow them on Twitter, it's there. They shared parts of it. And in the poll prior to the primaries, they said 42%. A question was asked on if you have received your fair share of development in DANKWA, and 42% of the delegates said yes. 48% said no, and no opinions, 10%. Then you look at the MP's performance, and that is where Adwoa Safo lost. And this is the updated poll that they posted. 7% said excellent. If you're a member of parliament and your constituents are asked about your performance and only 7% said you're excellent and 29% you're very good, you are in serious trouble. And it showed. Average was 32%, very poor was 29%, and 6% said they had no opinion. So let's go into that. As 7% said excellent and 29% very good. Average was 32 and then 29 very poor. How did that play in the final vote?
Any MP who gets this level of approval will be in trouble in any election. So that's where the warning sign flagged that Adwoa Safo could be in trouble. Even those who said she's done very good or good, not all of them were voting for her. They felt, oh, you've done well.
But then it's time to go.
Time out soon for you to move on. And I think there was no mathematical way of Adwoa Safo winning the election. It was so stuck against her.
Did you get the sense from listening to Michael Kwe Jr. that he was surprised by it or he expected it?
I think he expected it. See, when we are winning, the feeling is there. I saw a video of Adwoa during the voting or the primaries. She was walking around and greeting delegates. And she was alone.
Yeah.
She didn't have entourage
Power had
behind her.
left her.
You could see that the power has drifted away from her. I mean, it was very clear.
Wow. Wow. But then 1,194, here you gave him 43% that voting intention. Who do you intend to vote for? And in the poll here, it was 43% of the delegates that were voting for Michael Quay Jr. 10% said we're voting for Adwoa. Again, 10%. So even the voting intention, those who declared, Adwoa and Sheila were tied there. And then 24% were undisclosed and 13% were undecided. If we look at that, were you surprised? While you work on it, were you surprised by that? How did that play? So I want to know what happened with the 24% who were undisclosed and undecided. They all voted for Michael Quay.
Yes. And sometimes it depends on the timing of the poll.
Okay.
If at the time of the poll they haven't received the goodies,
Right.
they wouldn't want to disclose who they want to vote for in case you are calling from the other camp.
Okay.
So they tend to hide a bit. But once the monies have exchanged hands and they are clear, they still vote their conscience. Delegates are not stupid.
Okay.
They've taken the money, but they will look at the candidate who is best able to win the seat for them. That's what they do.
Okay. So in this case, if I'm looking at the 24% who were undisclosed and 13% who are undecided, just walk me through, could anything really have changed their minds, given that at least 43% who are majority have already declared that we're not voting for her? In other words, if she brings us even heaven, we will not vote for her. So what could have possibly, what booty was supposed to be sent to them for them to change them? I mean, per the data here, it doesn't show.
You know, I think what happened is that
a
lot of the guys who said they were not disclosing probably ended up voting for Adwoa.
Oh, okay. Which pushed her to second
position. And those undecided probably went to Michael Quay.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Sheila was just a casualty there.
I don't know who put Sheila in the race there. I was thinking, was she there to destroy Adwoa's numbers or what?
Well, she's a woman, right? So that if you had a sentimental, maybe woman, female vote.
But see, the sad thing is that 70% of MPP delegates are men.
But the men were supported Adwoa at some point.
No, before that, she was a very formidable figure in the constituency.
Yeah.
But when time changes and you want to use a feminine to rally support, the odds will be stacked against you, because if you look at the argument she was putting across, a mother, and she had this issue, that issue, the constituents that you are trying to appeal for the sympathy are only 30% of delegates.
So the women who make up 30%, the men make up 70%. And they will not be drawn by sentiment, because we've seen you already and those did not work. So why would it work now?
So it could have worked among the women, but not the men.
And still it will be short, because 70% are majority.
By majority, yes.
Okay, what does DANKWA look now? How does it look now? They have a candidate in Michael Quay Jr. who would come up against the NDC's candidates. What does it look like in the national data?
Is to say it plainly, it is going to be very tough for MPP in DANKWA. Not from sentiment, but from data we have seen. We have run 2 polls in DANKWA last year. We've done recently as October as well. In the first 2 polls, where we pitched MPP candidate against the NDC's candidate, in a scenario where Michael Quay was running as MPP's candidate, and in an unlikely scenario, Safo going as an independent against Akurugu. Akurugu was on 49%. And Adwoa was on about 32%, and Michael Quay was way behind.
Wow.
In that scenario. But then when you take away, or you take out Adwoa and let the race be 2 horses between Michael Quay and Akurugu, then Akurugu goes to around 59%. What happens at that in that instant is that over a quarter of people who were voting for Safo then switch camp and voting for Akurugu. And that is the problem MPP will have in DANKWA, especially those feminists who would otherwise voted for Adjua. They have the tendency of voting for Akurubu in DANKWA. And I've said it several times, that unless MPP is fully united in DANKWA, that seat will fall in December.
Okay. Fully united in Kwabenya, you mean that unless there's a collaboration and the support of Adjua,
yes,
and to Michael Quay, the NPP would lose that seat.
Yes.
But one would say that what makes you think, right? I'm not speaking today, it's about, sentiment play a role here, but what makes you so sure that Taifa North and Taifa South, who are like strongholds of the Christo Asafo sect, would, because it's not Adjua, would just say, okay, we would rather not maybe either vote or we would vote for NDC?
In one of the polls that we did, the community has about 10 electoral areas.
Yeah.
Shockingly, in Taifa North, Akurubu was leading Magokwe in Taifa North.
Wow.
But Okwe was leading Akurubu in Taifa South. That is how bad it can get.
And this was before Adjua lost.
Lost, yes.
Officially lost. Yeah.
So I don't know what the situation will look like now if you go back to DANKWA and repeat the same poll again.
Okay.
I think we must be able to draw a distinction between the support from Asafo Church,
right,
to the party because of Adjua,
yeah,
and a pure support for MPP. They may be loyal to the Safokan tankers,
right,
but that loyalty may not extend to MPP. So if she's not there, would loyalty still be there? That's what they should find out. And from the data we have seen already, the cracks are already showing to a point where Akurubu was winning Taifa North and Makokwe winning Taifa South. That shouldn't be happening in Taifa North and Taifa South.
Okay, so it is not that the NDC has a better candidate. It is not that the people of DANKWA want to change their candidates. It is simply because the candidates who will be presented by the New Patriotic Party is not liked.
No, it's a combination of a number of factors.
Okay.
I think Akurubu is the best candidate NDC has ever put in DANKWA.
Okay.
She's the only one who has crossed around 40% in DANKWA.
Okay.
And dragged Adjua down to 58.
Sure.
She's the only one who has done that.
Okay.
That was in 2020.
2020 elections, yes.
Now, Makokwe's strength is to have MPP united. Because he's the Ghana candidate.
Sure.
But he's very vulnerable, not being strong in the Ghana areas. Abokobi area is not good in Abokobi areas, and this will win those areas. In Ablaje, that is Ghana, and this will win that area. In Hacho, that is Ghana, and this is still winning that area. In Kwabenya, that is Ghana. So his support is coming from the Akan part of the constituency.
That's ironic.
He needs to broaden his base beyond the MPP base to be able to, fight back the possible defection from Adjua camp, even if that happens. But other than that, he really needs Adjua support to win the constituency.
Right. We will come back to DANKWA in this discussion because it's key. It's one of the biggest constituencies in the country. And also even made more popular by their representative. And Adjua is also one of the likable candidates or members of parliament. You could tell. And minister, she was really liked by the members of parliament. And it showed in her voting. But somehow, she lost all that, what they call goodwill or grace that she had. We'll come back to that. But another place that was topical in the media was the Trade Minister, K.T. Hammond, and his constituency. And there was a face-off with the police. We'll put it on TV, where he goes to the police and says that I will beat my opponents, beat him at the polls, and beat him to pulp.
I am going to ensure that he's mercilessly beaten to pulp. I will humiliate him at the polls and get him beaten. I'm just putting you on notice. I will not disorganize anything there. But get him wherever he is. He should leave town quickly.
And I thought the police should have arrested him, but they said the police applied tact in that situation. I would want to speak to the poll because in an interview with a sister station, I think it was Parker Wilson, Parker was drawing the member of parliament, and he was retained, to the fact that the poll says there are undisclosed voters who could disturb you. The poll did not say that Katie Hammond would lose. So I would read what the poll says. But first, I want to get MUSSA DANKWA's thoughts on it, whether he's seen the interview and his response to that. Did you see that interview?
Yes, I saw it.
What was going through your mind when you were watching him squirm around and talk about, I don't want to see, they are not seeing?
No, I took it very lightly because
Yeah.
Katie Hammond is a character. I like his antics. I mean, in every political temperature, you need people like Katie Hammond to bring things down sometimes. I mean, I didn't take his outburst quite seriously. At all. No, I didn't take it at all.
Okay.
Yes, I didn't take it.
He didn't take it serious at all. He was trying to cast doubt on the credibility of global InfoAnalytics.
No, we are used to people casting doubt on what we do. So
when when the poll does not go in their favor.
And he was not in danger from the polls. I don't know why he was so animated about it. But that's Katie Hammond.
So let's go to what you said about Katie Hammond in the poll. Let's go to his constituency.
In the case of Katie Hammond, almost 47% said he's done excellent or very good.
Yes, and that's Asukwa constituency. We're looking at that.
Only 11% said he's done very poor or poor.
Yeah.
Average was 29%. And no opinion, 12%.
Yeah. So performance of Katie Hammond in the constituency, 7% said he had done excellent. The 7% who were cheering him, remember after the poll, they were cheering him, young people were cheering him. And then 40% said he's done very, very good, and very poor was just 11%, and average said 29%. So the poll here did not say that he was going to lose. And even voting intentions, here says that 23% were clear. They said they were voting for Katie Hammond. Only 5% said they were voting for Kwabena Nkansa Asamoah, who was going to receive, slaps. And then Samuel, in fact, it was Samuel Benfo DANKWA, and then was 4%, and then Enoch Echampo. So his problem was with undecided and undisclosed. So let's talk about that. Yes. Undisclosed in the poll said 33%, and undecided was 34%. Let's go over that. What accounted for that when you were asking them about who they intend to vote for and they refused to declare? What accounted for that?
You see, we have a trick of going into voters' mind to understand what they truly mean, or what they will truly do on the day. So we asked them the question about how do you rate his performance. That question is very, very important for us to get into the minds of the voter. But he didn't expect we ask him who he was going to vote for. Now,
because you started with the first question, which was, have you received your fair share? And 39% said yes. So that's how you start. And then you go to the next question was your MP's performance. And if we're to put even 47% said, yeah, he's done fairly, very good,
and
right?
Average 29%. So average means
so now voting intentions, they were not expecting that. So they are kind of shocked.
Yes.
Okay, so continue.
Yes. And then, so when they answered that question, we looked at those who said he's done excellent. Those who said excellent, 88% of them were voting Katie Hammond. So it's in line. You've done very well. So you don't expect people to say very well and will not vote for you. It normally doesn't happen, but it does happen sometimes. And then you have 12% of those saying that they were undisclosed. So if you said he's done excellent and undisclosing, I can say with confidence that you, on the day, vote for Katie Hammond. So you see how you're able to go into the mind and really analyze. And then for those who said...
But it doesn't mean that even if that is so, you cannot put your data out because it will upset the MP. I mean, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't put the data out because it will upset the MP.
No, I mean, we don't care who gets upset.
Yes.
We present the data the way it is. It's data.
Data does not know feelings. Data doesn't know feelings. It's just a number.
Absolutely.
Yes, it doesn't know feelings. Yeah.
And for those who said he's done very good or good, 36% were voting for Katie Hammond. 36%. 1% for the other candidate, Enoch, and 3% for Benfo. So it means that the remaining percentage who said they were undisclosed and undecided, they would vote for Katie Hammond. So if he had given this...
But why, if we're to go into the voters' mind, why was there no confidence in declaring why? Why is that?
There are so many reasons.
Factors,
People think my vote is my secret.
Sure.
You see,
that's fair.
Even if he knows, he won't tell you.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is the fear of what will happen if he discloses it to us.
Okay.
If you're able to say, oh, if we were calling from Baneful, or the other say, hey, this guy says he's voting here, so don't give him the money. Because some of them do polls like this and know who is voting for what, so who gets what. So they are very cautious when it comes to disclosing their voting intention, especially when it gets closer to the election, when money is now coming. You see, I think what we've learned from this is that it's better to speak to them much, much earlier, before the election gets closer. When the election gets closer, the tension is there, the money is moving left and right, they tend to be cagey.
Interesting. So, and then, you know, he makes a very, it's important, but also kind of sad point when he says that, he mentions, you know, certainly says his place is a village and the people don't have access to telephone and whatnot.
No, I mean, he was basically taking a mickey. In his album that they used to vote, every delegate there had a phone number. There's no single person without a phone number. And if he picks his album and make phone calls, he'll talk to them.
So it's not true that they don't have.
No.
We should take what he said with a pinch of salt. With a pinch of salt.
Yes.
Right. So we've done DANKWA, as predicted by Global InfoAnalytics, and they were spot on with their analysis and the outcome of the poll. Michael Quay Jr. won. I think Adjoa got 328. Michael Quay was 1194, and then Adansi Asukwa constituency, KT Hammond's constituency. He got, I think, over 80%. Also, over 80% in that constituency as well. It means that he still has, you know, foothold of that constituency and may not even be threatened in the national election. Is that it?
No, we don't see him.
We don't see that happening in that constituency. So even though people outside don't see his impact, that looks like the people in the constituency understand him and connect with him. Even if he what's the word, obliterates them or talks down on them in the media, they understand him, and that's why I believe MUSSA says that we should take it with a pinch of salt. We will talk about the biggest losers and the gainers, and what does that look like in the national election. Like he said, for national, DANKWA is threatened because it looks like NDC might take that seat. But as Adansi Asukwa constituency, KT Hammond says it might not be threatened. That's why he is going back to Parliament. And then I didn't, you know, it's fun, it's crazy. I didn't even see Inshaeso.
Inshaeso sticker. No, Inshaeso is one of the elitist constituencies in the country, in the Ashanti region in particular, and their delegates tend to reflect the kind of people who live there. So if you look at the way they ranked the MP. It ranked quite high. But then they didn't want to tell us their voting intention.
Okay.
So on that basis, you could see that if they are rational and they rated him very high, they would vote for him. Right.
So Bantama constituency was one of the constituencies that we talked about, that there was a lot of eyes there because there was a Kennedy, there was a Japan in the mix. There was a media onslaught, you know, on the Asensu Boache and what has happened with, you know, names being mentioned in all kinds of acts. But in the poll prior to the primaries, Bantama constituency, fair share of development, question posed by Global InfoAnalytics men or women, 99% said they've received their fair share. So if the poll say the 99% of the people say they have received their fair share, then Asensu Boache here was not threatened in any way. And it showed in the final day as well. Then MP's performance, 68% said excellent. 31% said very good. This was prior to the voting on Saturday. Excellent, very good. So that is also over 90% again. It says, it's again 99%. So there was no way Asensu Boache was going to lose. And when you look at Raphael Ejapon's performance in the poll, it was only 1%, and he wasn't threatened. And voting intentions, 94% of the people there said they were going to vote for Asensu Boache. But why do you think there was such a big buzz around it? Even though the poll said that he was not threatened, there were people who thought that maybe there could really be an upset.
You see, one problem we have with analysts in this country is that they think every election is the same. Every election is different.
Yeah.
Kennedy Ejapon against Bawumia is not Asensu Boache against Raf Kennedy Ejapon.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Right.
So don't transfer your popularity in one race onto the other. And the only link between him and you is just brotherhood, brother. nothing more. And parliamentary seats at the primary level is normally local issues. Normally local issues. Who would they trust to represent them? Is it Raf Ajipon or Sensibuachi? And it was quite emphatic and very clear that these guys are not confused. They are going to go for Sensibuachi. And they went for him in a very big way.
Okay. All right. So on that note, we're taking our very first break. When we return from the break, we'll talk more about the biggest, gainers and losers and the whole strategy to protect certain constituencies. Those who went unopposed. I even want to talk about Menchia South. Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh's constituency. He won, got, I think, 280 plus votes from that constituency. And what does it look like? Does that mean those who went unopposed, is it guaranteed that all of them would win their seats in the 2024 general elections? We'll be back to give you the answers. Welcome back to One on One. My name is Bridget Otu. We're looking at the New Patriotic Party's primaries that were held. Some big gainers and losers, shocking. Some ministers, deputies, who lost so unexpected. But what does that even mean? If they lost, what about those who actually stood unopposed? Is it guaranteed that they are going to maintain their seats? That's why they went unopposed. MUSSA DANKWA, I want to just do a quick run through some of them. We'll come back to the parliament. I think about 33 of them stood unopposed. And yes, I know my MP, Ifutu Member of Parliament for Ifutu, Alexander Fenyamak, Deputy Majority Leader, Education Minister Dr. Yaose Edishum Patrick Buama, Yabuama Okankwe Central. I'm interested in that. He's being contested by, Sadiq Baba, for instance. And then he goes unopposed. Does that mean that they believe that he is the strongest, best candidate to fight somebody like Baba? Or in the party's mind, they think that they are going to retain it. That's why they maintain it.
For Patrick Buama, I think if you look at the data we've had over the several polling period, he's one of the safest MPP MPs in Greater Accra.
Okay.
Yes.
Safest MPP MPs
in Greater Accra.
So he's likely, you mean Baba Sadiq will not trouble him?
No, look, he cuts across, his support is not a party line.
Okay.
If you speak to voters in that constituency, those who back him
and the like,
include a chunk of NDC voters. So for Baba Sadiq to do well, he must convince his people to toe the line to make it a competitive race. Other than that,
when you say to toe the line, what do you mean?
They shouldn't defect to vote for Patrick Buama. Basically, that's what it is.
So people, I have to play that again in my head. That there are people who are NDC, but will vote for Patrick Buama.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think he's done?
You see, there are some MPs that are like that. They attract cross-party support, and sometimes it's difficult to unseat such MPs because he doesn't appeal to his base alone. He appeals broadly to the constituency.
What gives them the edge? Is it that they are working really well in the constituency? Is it how they communicate? What is it? What do you assign that to?
There are so many factors.
Sure.
And when you see an MP with that kind of performance, it's purely down to his personality.
Okay.
Yes.
Not really performance, but personality.
Well, it's also performance, personality, and party plays little role in such MP's performance.
So Okankwe Central, Patrick Yabuama, per what you're hearing here in the studio, Sadiq Baba, that his personality and performance is such that even NDC supporters admire him and will vote for him. And so is it what he should convince? They're saying that Baba Sadiq should convince his people to stay, asking to be loyal, to not just say we're NDC, but NDC and vote NDC.
I'm sure when he does his own survey, he will see his strengths and weaknesses within the constituency, and he figure out what to do. But what we are saying is that from the data we have seen, Patrick Buama gets broad party support.
Okay, John Kuma Ejiso.
Oh, he will be okay.
Okay, obviously, okay. Afenyamak in the Ifutu.
I think he'll be okay.
He'll be okay. Yes. What do you think has worked well for him? He's one person who loves data and polls. He look, Alexander Afenyomakin does not joke with polls. Prior to him, that seat was swinging every time. It was 4 years. Whether it was Mike Hammer, whoever goes there, 4 years. And then he comes and he's done it 3 times.
It's because he's appealing across party.
He's also another one.
Yes, he's also able to attract a lot of NDC guys to vote for him. And that's how you see, Central Region is not anybody's stronghold. But from what he has done, he's turned that area into his backyard. And because he appeals to everybody.
Wow, that is crazy because Efutu was never like that. It was never like that. So in this case, if he decides, I mean, of course, he's still unopposed to 2024. So if he decides and say, okay, 2028, I'm not going, will it be based on his, what do you think the next person will suffer? Would it be based on personality or work that he's done in the constituency?
If he decides not to go in 2020, it becomes an open race. It depends on who NDC brings and who MP brings.
Because then they know that, okay, we're no longer voting for Afenyomakin.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, Samuel Jinapot Damongo used to be NDC.
That would be a tough one. But I think for who he is, his background and how he snatched a seat from NDC last time, I cannot see him losing it this time. Things may be a bit harder than before, but I can say that he is likely to retain that seat. Like,
Brian a champion, Abetifi.
Oh, I mean, those areas, they are MPP strongholds.
Okay, so
if it's in the stronghold of MPP, then there's no issue.
There's no issue. Okay, there's no issue. Okay, so I will pause a bit to on those but let me just do a quick run through some of the people who stood unopposed. I can see Akim Da, MP, of course, new job in South. John Peter Ameu, Hohoi.
Hohoi is then going to be dicey for Ameu. I mean, this election will be really tough for him.
Yeah.
If he retains it, that will be a miracle.
Wow.
Because the wave that is coming in Volta region alone, and the gap he used to win, and the general economic condition will not favor him. So I think they decided not to contest him because he's the best they can present. I don't see anybody else could do any better. If you bring anybody else, that person will be swallowed by swamps.
Okay. Lydia Seriam Alhassan, I was West Wogo.
I'm surprised they allow her to go unopposed because she's going to be in danger.
Yeah.
She won last time by a skin of her teeth, of around 2,000 votes.
Yeah.
And the margin is not comfortable enough. And Accra is proving to be the toughest region for MPP in 2024. And with that margin that she won, she will be exposed. And
looking at the people who lost, we'll share a few. Looking at the people who lost, and also I was surprised she also went unopposed. And then the Ayawasa Central, Greater Accra Regional Minister, was keenly challenged.
Yeah.
And then his competitor had over 35%. So if Lydia perhaps had gone with somebody, I mean, then she would have been.
And then also what that does is that you are able to keep the party united. Because you force them to
allow challenge. Yes. Okay, so
and then when they lose, they can't make any noise. But if you force unopposed and you discover people, it creates a problem for the parties.
Wow.
But they haven't learned their lessons yet.
Okay, so Ayawaso West Wogon, there's always drama in that constituency. It's under threat. John Dumelo is, well, if NDC, have they done their issues? They've sorted their issues with the what's the name of the movie guy?
John Dumelo.
No, Fred Nyama said he's no longer okay, so he's out of it. So if John Dumelo and Lydia Alhassan, Seriam Alhassan, we'll see what will happen in that constituency. So I want to pause here, and then we talk about the constituencies as well, the constituency issues that we were dealing with, based on was there anything that surprised you?
No.
In terms of
No.
the performance, was there anything that shocked you?
The only poll that the person who was not winning or leading won.
Is it Dr. Gideon?
Dr. Gideon.
Okay.
That was the only.
So walk me through that.
And in that poll, he was just 2% behind Frida Prempeh. And a chunk was undecided on also not disclosing.
Yeah.
And we're torn between who was the one for the establishment. So we couldn't know. But I think from the response that we got, you could see that people were okay with Frida, but they felt that you've done your time. I think this would have been her 4th time. And they felt that, why you be? And Dr. Baumia being the flag bearer of the MPP, Gideon Baku probably must be given a chance to be in the House to support his potential president if he wins.
But that's as good for Dr. Baumia then.
Oh, yes.
Because if you're saying that, okay, Dr. Bawumia's people, it means that there's a certain likeness for him and his presidency.
Yes, in the constituency.
So Gideon, Dr. Gideon Boakong benefited from the heir of Dr. Bawumia as presidential candidate.
I think so. And also Fidel Prempeh, was appointee or is an appointee of the president.
Right.
And president is an outgoing president.
Right.
So power is shifting.
So the voters were smart. We want to align with Dr. Bawumia. Okay, all right. Then one constituency the poll also talked about was the Yendi constituency, and we know what happened in the Yendi constituency. But just a quick recap. In the poll, Yendi constituency, they asked of the performance of the MP, and it was 78% said yes. They received their fair share of development in that constituency. Yes, that goes for the MP, Farouk. 16% said no. 6% said they had no opinion. Then they asked of the performance of the MP. 25% said excellent. 41% said very good. So if we're going by the data of Global InfoAnalytics, it means that 66% of them said, look, they were with the MP and the MP was likely to win. 18% said average, poor was 10% or very poor, and the no opinion was 6%. Now, voting intentions, this is where it's interesting. Now, in the voting intentions, 44% said they were with the incumbent, which was the Farouk Mahama. 25% were with the Abibat Ashani, and undecided was 14%, and 17% was undisclosed. So that's where the issue was, that if we're even to go by this, then...
The headline numbers.
It was
Farouk to win.
It was Farouk to win
yes.
here. Then you heard what happened in that constituency.
Yes.
And first, what was your reaction when you heard that?
I was quite disappointed because the day was a beautiful day, only to be marked by Yendi constituency, which I happen to know Yendi as well. I did my national service in Yendi.
Okay.
So I know Yendi very well. But the upheaval and what happened there was very unfortunate. Whatever reasons that they
I think the chairman of the party declared Farouk as the winner.
I thought it was an easy. Okay, so the chairman of the party. I don't know how they're going to handle it.
No, they haven't finished in that
constituency. I know they haven't finished.
No, they haven't finished in that constituency. So we'll see. They went to the police station. So if you don't know, it turned out that when we spoke to our reporter that an EC official had indelible ink in his pockets and some ballot papers. Obviously, that created chaos because then there's an intention to rig. They were accusing him of probably trying to rig for the incumbent, and also, the opposite people, Habibata's people were also accusing him of saying. So then the scuffle and the violence, whatever, attack started, and then they ended up at the police station. So stay tuned with Metro Television. We'll bring you more updates as to what happens, whether there'll be a re-election of it, and because currently it's bad. I mean, they can't go with the ballot papers that was all over. I mean, it'll be very difficult. So they will probably have to do another election to see the outcome of it. Why so sensitive? Why do you think there was keen interest there from what you gathered in your poll? I mean, it was close because if you undisclosed is 17, 25%, okay, undisclosed, maybe they are voting for Abibat. Maybe, just maybe.
I mean, we picked up intelligence, and from what we have heard from people, it's as if Abibat Ashani was the establishment candidate. And
so it is not that the MP is not doing well, but except that the powers that be behind Abibat.
Yes. Okay. And we even understand that some of the northern MPs came together to support Farouk to retain the seat against the establishment. So there was tension. There was tension in the air, and even though we said he was going to win, it was going to be tough. But I thought where he was in the poll, he would have won the race. As to what happened next, only God knows. Some of these things could turn out to be a different story next time.
Wow. Will you do another poll?
No. We will not do anything.
What about national?
We continue to do that. We do that every 90 days. The next one will be in April. Okay,
all right. So I'm just going to do a quick run because we seem to be running out of time. Global InfoAnalytics mentioned that fair share of development for Howard Kumsin's fair share of development for national, they said 96%. MP's performance was excellent, was 33%, and very good was 61%. So that's over 90% of the people saying that, look, we're happy with our MP's performance. And 80% of them said they were going to vote for Howard Kumsin, and 12% were undecided, 8% were undisclosed, and only 1% were for Eric Kweku Boasing. In the end, Howard Kumsin got over 80%, and you were not surprised there.
No.
She ended up talking about the media blackout and what not. Okay, so now and then Tano North too was
Gideon Boako and
yes,
Philippine.
and that's where the tie was. Okay, it was 31 for Frida and 29 for, but then undisclosed was 29%. So I think I'm not so undisclosed ended up voting for Gideon.
Yes, Gideon
Boako. Oh, Ayawase Central here.
Henry Korte.
Yes, Henry Korte, and his contenders had over 35%. But then when you ask of the fair share of development, 90% of them said yes, they have received their fair share. The MP's performance, 60% said it was very good, and 29% said it was excellent. And then when he asked of the voting intention, 73% said they were going to vote for him.
Yes.
18 were undisclosed and 4%. So here was a bit, even though Henry won, he won with over 65%.
Yeah.
And then the undisclosed, they all switched.
So the undisclosed probably went for the underdog.
Okay. All right. So another constituency that I'm particularly interested in because I'm from the Western region, Effiang. Effiang used to be like what Efutu was, where they just 4 years, like they don't have time for anybody. Like you come there, if you're in the Western region, you are never safe. Maybe Sekondi Takoradi yet, because it's been with NPP for some time. But it's never a safe seat. But Effiang constituency, Effiang, people of Effiang, I need to applaud you. I need to congratulate you because you always keep your MPs on their feet. I know my former bosses who all did 1 term. Now, this is what Global InfoAnalytics said before the polls, the primaries. 68% of people in Effiang said they have, 68% of the delegates said they had received their fair share. And 10% had no opinion and 20% said no. And then the performance of the MP, 8% said, look, excellent. 53% said very good, and then no opinion. 12%, very poor was 11%, and 16% was average. Then here comes the issue. Even though they said 68% said they've received their fair share, over almost 60% said the MP's performance was good. When they asked them who you will vote for, then these people switch. When they asked them who you will vote for, look, Joseph Kudjo in his own constituency, he was second. He was not winning in the constituency. 25.8% said they were going to vote for Joseph Kudjo. 25.2% said they were going to vote for Yao Buamanyakong. And 45.5% said they were undisclosed. And they ended up flipping.
Yes.
So talk to me about Effiang.
You know,
because how can you say the MP is doing well, but when you ask who you vote for, you said you won't vote for MP.
They said that, okay, you've done your time, you are good. Go.
4 years.
Let another person come. In the poll that we've done in Effiang and to some extent Shama, those MPs are vulnerable to NDC's onslaught.
Oh, okay.
So what we've seen is that some of these changes that MPP have made, it is preemptive strike.
Okay.
Those guys that are vulnerable, that could be taken down by NDC in December, are being withdrawn as a party's candidate to give the party a better chance of winning those seats. That's what they have done. Okay. And he is one of them.
Okay. So one seat that we haven't talked about, I mean, it wasn't in the poll, was Esikado constituency. Again, I'm from the Western region. Now, Esikado, the incumbent is not going, Joe Gate is not. So now we have Charles Bisu, who has won, and he'll be contesting Professor Dr. Grace Ayensu. And it was close in the last election, and she is going again. Okay. But this time around against a completely new candidate. Has Global Info First done any polls there? Would you do any polls there? And what does it look like?
If we pick it as part of a randomized national polling, we'll look at it. But unless we see it to be very, very interesting nationally, then we can put our microscope there and look at it in much more detail. But there will be seats that we're going to isolate them and look at them in detail. But I'm not sure if that will be the case. Yes.
Oh, we are the people of the Western region.
Everybody
are interested.
For the same thing.
They want you to do their. How much pressure is on Global InfoAnalytics to deliver?
Absolutely huge pressure. People calling you, we want this constituency and that constituency, and we've made the policy that look.
You need resources.
Not that. We don't decide where we go to in our national tracking.
Okay.
We've taken the human factor completely
out of it, right?
It's to show that the polls have integrity and that the results that you get has not been tainted by anybody's direction. We want to know if we pick random 82 here in April, random 82 in July, are the results the same? If they are the same, it gives us confidence that our polling data is accurate. If you begin to interfere about where you go, let's go this stronghold, this man's weakness point, then you may not be able to really generalize the results that you are getting.
Okay,
so we use random computer simulation to pick the places.
Right. And by that, you have complete control over what comes out. So in other words, if somebody calls you, they could even go and tell, oh, the global info people will call you. They are coming to do this. So say this. No, to taint your results, to taint your integrity and mess with your credibility.
So what we do transparently is that a month before we go, we publish the constituencies we are going to go to. But we won't tell you which part of the constituency we are coming there. We won't tell you we are coming to Kodokrom in Sikado, or we'll go to the other place. We will not know. We'll just show up anywhere else with the poll and we go.
Oh, wow. But that's a huge risk. How big a team would you need now? We are in 2024, obviously. There's a lot of interest, obviously, across the nation.
We have teams in all the 275 constituencies.
Okay.
We're the ones who can only do national poll in 4 days. We have people, volunteers everywhere, who are ready with their phone call. They're able to gather data for us. So we're not under pressure in terms of resources because we have a system that has decentralized this thing. And once we're able to design a survey instrument, it's going to take just a few hours to deploy.
Okay. So right now, what are some of the seats that maybe... one, okay, you mentioned Okankwe Central, you said it's safe. Which are the seats that are likely to swing?
In fact, we are looking at critical seats in Greater Accra.
Okay.
And we're going to develop a model that we are able to use that to see what is going to happen elsewhere. We will be monitoring Trobu.
Okay. Okay.
Trobu, we shouldn't be monitoring Trobu. But now we will.
Why? What's the interest?
Because it's become vulnerable. You see, when Trobu becomes vulnerable, it affects DANKWA because they share the same demography of voters, mostly.
Yeah.
We're also looking to see what is going to happen in Tema Central.
Right. Tema Central. Tema Central, who is there?
If Hans, I think he lost his seat. He lost
goodness.
to another candidate. We're going to look at Tema Central.
Goodness.
We'll be looking at Ablekuma West.
Esla.
Esla, yes.
She was confident. I mean, and she's a fighter. I mean, she will fight to the end. That's much we know. She will fight.
And we're going to look at Ablekuma North.
Okay.
Once we understand what is happening in these areas, we can say what is going to happen everywhere else. Because we don't have the money to go everywhere. But we could use a statistical tool, a mechanism, to be able to really understand what is happening here. We're going to group the constituencies into groups. Okay. Those that look alike.
Okay.
So
when you say constituencies that look alike, what do you mean?
In terms of demography.
Okay.
Gender balance, party affiliation, level of education, and those who live there, MPP and NDC party affiliations. That will determine what is going to happen in any areas that have the same characteristics.
What about Ododo constituency?
Oh, that will stay NDC.
Okay. All right. Okay, all right. MUSSA DANKWA, I want to say a big thank you to you. Thank you so much for coming to our studio to share this with us. Like he said, feelings is out when it comes to data. It doesn't matter what party. If the data supports your bias, well, you can take it. If it doesn't, work on what needs to be worked on. There was something I'll never forget in an interview with a Ifutu member of parliament. That's why I like him so much. Member of parliament, Alexander Fenyamaka. And in that interview, he said, they conducted a research in places he thought had done well. When the data came back, the people had mentioned certain things that he wasn't doing. So he quickly went to do that. And it helped him in the national poll. I hope all MPs have that kind of attitude towards their constituents and look out for the interests of their constituents. And maybe they would be on their seat for so long until they say they don't want to go again. I mean, people like Okudzeto Ablakwa is also another example of an MP that works tirelessly to ensuring that his constituents are comfortable or are well off, or at the very least, they have the very basic to survive this country. My name is Bridget Otu. A big thank you to the Executive Director of Global InfoAnalytics. You can go to their website, it's globalinfoanalytics.com. Globalinfoanalytics.com. There's a lot of data there. You can look at where they've done past ones, current ones, and yeah, what else?
But we are also recruiting panelists for our survey and poll. So if you go to our website, you can enlist to be part of people who will contribute their views from time to time. Very useful, yes.
Oh, great. So you can also do that. My name is Bridget, so you can share your comments with us on all our social media platforms, and we'll be happy to read them. Have a good evening.